Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another television series review. This series is from the UK, English language, released in the year 2023, created by David Macpherson. This series is called The Rig. So The Rig is about an oil rig located in the middle of the ocean. You have a group of people who have learned to treat each other like family. They've been together for many months. Now it's time to call it quits. And so they're waiting for the helicopter to come and get them, but unfortunately a mysterious fog engulfs this oil rig and very strange things start to happen. And so as people become ill, this is where they realise that something underneath them that is millions of years old is actually quite angry. And so the more that this group of people try to fight against this unknown presence, the more this unknown presence is getting more powerful and unfortunately more dangerous. And so whether or not these people can live to tell the tale is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Rig. I didn't know too much about this show before I saw the trailer on Amazon Prime, and it really looked interesting. It had a H.P. Lovecraft mixed in with the Stephen King The Mist. It had, I'm a science fiction fan, and so if you like that kind of thing, this is definitely something that's going to entice you to watch it. It is household names as far as Scottish cinema and TV is concerned. Martin Compston is actually a well-established actor, so to see him in this production was actually something that made me want to go and watch. And I thought as though the oil rig and the horror element to the story, I thought that was another reason to go and see it. And so not knowing exactly what to expect, I saw this on IMDb and I thought, alright, well, it doesn't have a very good score, but hopefully it was going to be something that really gravitated to me more so than the majority on IMDb. And after watching The Rig, I can understand the hate that this series has, in that it has a lot of good elements, but unfortunately it's let down by elements that really prevented it from being as enjoyable as I really wanted it to be. And I really feel as though if certain elements were actually polished up, it could have been a really good story, because the overall idea is absolutely fantastic, and that fantastic idea is intensified by the absolutely fantastic atmosphere that this series has. It had a very Stephen King-like atmosphere. It had a very H.P. Lovecraftian sort of atmosphere. So if you like that kind of thing, you're going to really like the way that this production goes about its business in giving you that sense of isolation and that paranoia and that sense of craziness. I thought that all really worked very well. And it's human beings put under incredible situations and the stress that that can actually bring out in humans. And so you have a decent side of you when things are going well, but when extreme situations come about, then this is where fear starts to set in and it starts to dictate how you behave. And so it's actually quite scary how normal human beings will actually behave in that pressurizing situation. And this is something that is very relevant in Stephen King's The Mist, directed by Frank Darabont. That was an absolute masterpiece in actually showing you what humans can actually do once fear kicks in. They're saying in that movie was, once fear kicks in, all bets are off. And that's definitely what The Rig produces. It actually produces that horrific psychological aspect that the actual setting actually produces. That's so the setting of the oil rig, they were surrounded by ocean, almost felt like they were the only ones in existence. And so they had to really band together, but unfortunately the pressurizing situation was actually tearing this group of people away from each other. And this is where they started to develop very interesting aspects to their characters that made a lot of mysterious quality. There's a lot of questions that needed answering, and I thought each question that was answered actually sustained that interest from start to finish. Although this show has a lot of problems, I still was interested to see where this show was actually going. So the story gives you enough for each episode to keep you glued to the screen, and then right at the end I thought the finales to each episode were actually quite decent. And this only goes for 6 episodes in the first season. It's something that British cinema, British TV does very well, in that it doesn't exhaust an idea like flogging a cash cow like a lot of American shows will do. Ricky Gervais said it perfectly. It's better to end a series on a high than it is to just exhaust a series, in that you feel as though, okay, you've watched it, you just want this to end. You know, basically a good idea that becomes stale, whereas this story, although it has a lot of issues, it doesn't really derail completely because it's only 6 episodes long. So you have a situation that does spiral out of control, and the more crazy things start to get, I thought this is where it starts to fall down. And unfortunately the reason why it falls down is because it has a really good idea, but it's poorly written. And I thought the characters were incredibly annoying, because once again the script doesn't allow these characters to blossom in any way that is rewarding. I thought it was incredibly annoying. There's a lot of exposition where you have to say to yourself, how did they come to that conclusion? And so I thought as though it needed a much better writer. And so the script, the characters, all very cringeworthy, especially towards the end. The further that this show goes on, the more cringeworthy the dialogue became, and so I thought I had a really good idea, but I didn't know how to execute that idea. And so by the end of it, I thought, okay, it was only 6 episodes, it didn't derail, but it was on the verge of derailing just by how silly it was getting. And so I thought as though the production levels, the atmosphere is absolutely brilliant, but it's not complemented by a very good script at all. The characters were very far-fetched and very, you can disconnect yourself from, because it just feels like it's a caricature. It just feels like as though it's getting really, really silly, and I just didn't care for the safety of these characters like I did in the first 2 episodes. I thought it really built a strong platform, but it didn't know how to elevate and jump off that platform because it just falls flat with the really weak script, and unfortunately the good actors in this show don't get a chance to blossom because they have nothing to really work off. And so it does get a little bit silly, but pushing that aside, it's only 6 episodes, so you're not really going to completely lose interest because it does pose enough questions that need answers. But unfortunately the really bad script and the character development having non-existent sort of quality to it just allows that distance between you and the person that is going through this dilemma, and so you never really gravitate to their situation as you really should. So with a better script, it actually could have been a lot better, but unfortunately that is ultimately the biggest issue to the rig. But there is worse out there, but unfortunately I couldn't help but feel as though this should have been a lot better than it was. So overall for the rig, going to give this one 2 stars. A really weak script really brings it down, but fortunately there's enough atmosphere in there to make you want to watch it from start to finish. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.